Binge watch and learn on TRS clips. Perhaps my last question on this entire show for you would be another thought experiment related to the younger dryas impact theory. Okay. Now, that was supposedly a very important cataclysmic event in the history
Absolutely.
of
yes.
the earth.
Yes.
I remember Joe Rogan and Randall Carlson both saying that even that reduced the human population heavily. It was almost like a reboot of civilization. So let's place ourselves in a situation where a meteor is about to hit the earth. Right now we have cameras, we have mics,
Right.
we have electricity, we have the internet.
Right.
People take the internet for granted. The internet is a series of wires under the earth.
Absolutely. Yes.
Even that's going to get wrecked because of a meteor hitting the earth.
Right.
Our technology is going to get wrecked.
Right.
Lots of people that we know around us are going to die.
Right.
The human population will be reduced. It'll be apocalyptic. There will be a nuclear winter. It'll be exactly like those apocalyptic movies that you see.
Right.
And when you have kids, say you survive, you'll have to learn survival skills in the same way that Bear Grylls
True.
does on his show, etc.
True.
You'll begin from a little bit of a hunter-gatherer mindset. That's what your life will become if there's truly an apocalyptic event.
Right. Right.
Now, we know for a fact that the apocalyptic event happened in 10,000 BC, roughly.
Around that time frame. Yeah.
The effects of it were there for a while after that. We had to restart civilization. That is my theory against the archaeologists that claim that because the Indus Valley civilization was not that advanced.
Okay.
That's what the theory is. That the kind of art that we see, the kind of architecture that we see, they weren't capable of the televisions that we hear about in the Mahabharata, the aeroplanes that we hear about in the Ramayana.
Right. Right.
That's the theory, that we have proof about the Indus Valley civilization. My angle on this is that even if technology advanced a lot before 10,000 BC, it was all crushed to nothing because of the Younger Dryas impact.
Right.
And then we had to restart from there. And what we see in the Indus Valley civilization is 8,000 years roughly post the Younger Dryas impact. So we had to rebuild. That's why, yes, I know the Indus Valley civilization had that whole drainage system. It had governance and all that. And there's still so much we don't understand about it.
Right.
But it was a reboot of Indian civilization. We are taught that it was the beginning of the Indian civilization.
Right. Right.
Do you have anything to say about what I said?
Absolutely. So many thoughts. Some are speculative, some we have evidence or we have informed opinions on some things. For example, remember I told you about the Carrington event, 1856 or so. Such a big solar flare is known to have hit the Earth. They say if that magnitude flare hit the Earth today, life would stop existing the way you understand it for at least 2 years. It says every telephone line, every power line would be gone. Transformers would have exploded. And so you'll have no electricity anywhere in the world. And all your satellites will be gone. All your communication will be gone. All your beautiful internet streaming, Netflix, everything gone. And you wouldn't have this. It'll take the Earth 2 years to recover. That's the amount of time it'll take to ramp up the factories, again get the transformers, again repair power all over the world. So you can imagine that kind of apocalypse is not only because of meteor. The sun can easily do it to you. Easily do it.
We can't predict that, right?
We can't predict that. This happened, we know, this big event happened in 1800s. It could happen anytime. Anytime it could have a huge solar flare and modern technological life as we understand it today would have gone. With that in mind, I often tell people, think about this. Western Europe was a backward, primitive place for a long time. After they adopted Christianity in Constantine Christianity 330 current era, they chucked out all the Greek knowledge, Greek philosophy, which was all India looking, right? Vedanta looking. They chucked them out as pagans and they became a theocracy, a church theocracy where they had an orthodoxy over there, feudal kind of government. You're not allowed to think, right? You had to be a sheep, follow the shepherd kind of a thing. They had this going till 1500. 1500, if you see my talks, you'll understand how they ramped up on knowledge from India and all those kind of things. And they were primed for the so-called Renaissance, right? They're primed for that. And the so-called age of rationalism and things like that, when they started learning things from Indian knowledge. I often tell people as a thought experiment, these guys who didn't even have place value addition, subtraction, multiplication, they learnt only 1550 from India. From the time of Newton in 1600s till today, they managed to go from nothing to sending a spaceship to Jupiter, to Mars, and other such places. So it's 600 years. That is all it took. From zero to understanding Bernoulli's principle of lift, to building Wright brothers aircraft, to building these huge rockets that can have enough impulse to take you out to outer space and things like that. 600 years. I ask the question often, how many 600-year cycles do we have in the past? Where maybe not pervasively like we know today, but maybe in some aspect of technology, where you went to great heights and lost it all. Of course, a rational thinking person will ask, where are the artifacts? I want to find a fossil, I want to find a remain. And intriguingly, time to time we find these things. One of them is the Antikythera. The Antikythera was a mechanism found in early 1900s off the seas in Greece, Mediterranean Sea. They found it. Intricate hearing mechanism. We know that because we can X-ray this and find out. Intricate mechanism that seems to be some kind of a celestial clock. It shouldn't belong to that period. That kind of mechanism and that kind of computation should not belong to that period of time. But it is there. So like this, time to time we find something says, whoa, what is this? For example, the so-called Agastya battery, where descriptions are given on how we can make electrolyte and have some kind of insulator, and there's a potential difference and you can make a current out of that. It doesn't belong to a period if we believe in linear growth of science, but it is there. So I often ask the question, how many 600 period cycles do we have going back 10,000 years, 20,000 years?
Yeah.
Very possible.
Yeah.
So I'm open to this. I've not closed my mind to this.
I think one of the things I would like to teach my own children about history is about the impact of nature on history. This is one thing I've learned as a very macro lesson on the show. We've had an archaeologist, Dr. Prabhakar, who's actually explored the pyramids as well. Where even inside the pyramids, they had found a battery. And he had spoken about it on the show.
I've heard about this. Yes.
So, and this is a qualified archaeologist speaking. You know, my point is that even the ancient Egyptians didn't believe that they were the ancient Egyptians. They felt they were the modern Egyptians. And the ancient Egyptian culture was from almost 100,000 years ago. This is the kind of history I'd want to tell my children about, not just the history that we read in our history textbooks.
Right.
So TRS Clips has all sorts of videos and all sorts of playlists. Make sure you explore the channel by subscribing and heading to our homepage and reading through the playlists. Happens through curiosity.